Greetings, one and all. We are live once again after getting through some tumultuous and arbitrary technical difficulties. But we're here. And as soon as I can, public hearings are held every day across America. Some affect trucking, others, they affect communities. Some are important, others not so much. But what exactly do these public hearings cover? They cover things you need to know about, and they make a huge difference in everyday life. And yet, less and less people are involved in exactly everyday meetings that make a big difference. If the people that are most affected fail to participate in everyday decision making that affects you as life continues, then who should make those decisions? And what should happen to a community that basically is left behind? We're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about a lot more. Tonight, we're exploring the value of showing up. We're talking about what happens when you unite with others in a common cause, show up and make a difference. But we're also going to look at the effect on human life when nothing of that sort happens. What happens to a society when, as you'll see, um, people choose to let things go? Your voice matters. I want you to pull up a chair tonight. I want you to hit that like button. And when you can, share this broadcast. This is Truckin' City. We are tonight talking about the front lines of trucking, and every voice matters. Yours, mine, and even those watching who are not part of the conversation. I welcome each and every one of you in, and I hope that you will definitely make your voice heard.
We belong to life. The strength of wrong versus right. We belong to truth, found on the front line.
We don't do it just for us and our families. We do it for you guys.
Boss Man here, welcoming you one and all to Truckin' Frontlines, a weekly podcast with real truckers from all walks of life. Your chance to involve voices from regular, everyday Joe truckers from all over the industry to help make trucking great again. I welcome you. Have a seat, get comfortable. For the next 90 minutes, we're going to talk about issues you face every day. We're going to see and hear Everyday America live on stream. Everything from good to bad, and we do it to break through the wall of silence that's been built around our industry. We detest dishonesty. We are the truth in broadcasting. First tonight, we're going to cover what's important to me, what I think we need to pay more attention to. Then we're going to morph out into more important issues, such as why it is people are misinformed. What are we misinformed about? And what we need to know and what you can do to make a change. It only takes 30 seconds to change a mind, but it takes one word to change a life. And I hope tonight you will find that word. One of the things I've noticed recently in conversations is discussion around autonomous self-driving vehicles. It is a morphing issue. And I say morphing on purpose because it started out as one thing and it has suddenly gravitated into something completely different. So where is it we as truckers fit in that conversation? Recently, a lot of discussions have happened on a lot of podcasts, and there have been a ton of city council meetings purposely staged in ways we don't really get to voice our opinion. And I asked myself why that is. They don't want us knowing certain things. Who is they? They are a number of people. They are big companies, big corporations with financial interests that you're not a part of. And there's other people involved too. So before we dive neck deep into that issue and really sort out some of the nuts and bolts, I want to bring to your attention something I was made aware of not too long ago, which really falls in lockstep with what we're talking about here. Imagine a society whereby everything you want is handed to you on a silver platter. Every morsel of food, every penny in your bank account, everything you could ever want. There are movies out about the utopia involved in a perfect life, right? Well, I went looking for answers to certain questions. Questions are irrelevant, but the answers are very relevant. And let me explain a philosophy to you known as Universe 25. Okay? In the late 60s, a researcher by the name of John B. Calhoun, embarked on a series of experiments to find what would happen in utopia circumstances. That was my summary of what the experiment was. These experiments were designed to observe what happens to a population if they were provided what appeared to be the ideal environment: unlimited food, clean water, comfortable shelter, everything at their beck and call. Well, let me tell you, rather than read the entire thing, I've linked below, or I will, if it's not already there, your access to this experiment. The phrase "the beautiful ones" I've mentioned on other shows. I want to repeat here. The beautiful ones basically notates the group of individuals in said population that have removed or disassociated themselves from the mass population other than themselves because they don't see a purpose in continuing to live. That's the main thing. Now, I'm not saying any reason or other outcome other than to say, if people in society today are pushing for this utopia, watch that experiment and see what goes on. And what I'm going to do right now, if you'll entitle me to at least a 30 or 40-second clip, I want to show you what it is exactly this researcher was trying to do. Check this out.
What the overcrowding did to Mouse City's inhabitants.
The last 1,000 animals born never learned to develop the social behaviors. They never learned to be aggressive, which is necessary in defense of home sites. They never learned to court. There was no mating. Being no mating, there were no progeny. And the older animals, whose behavior was already becoming disrupted, they eventually reached an age too old to reproduce. And so it was all left up to these last 1,000 or so, whom we call the beautiful ones, because not engaging in any stressful activity and only paying attention to themselves, they groomed themselves well, so they looked very fine specimens. But from that point on, which was about the time that you were here 2.5 years ago, this reproduction totally ceased, and the animals have just aged and died.
At least one.
Now, that's a short clip, basically, kind of explaining the premise of what happens to a society when, at whatever stage of whatever development of this utopia, you can clearly see the results are disastrous. So, in a nutshell, I kind of worry because there's so many people that are in control of what we're looking to do, and they're looking to remove people from the equation and replace it with automation. And if they're looking to build this utopia that we're talking about, it really unnerves me, and many people should be, because imagine being that worked up in society today that your only choice is to either act out or disassociate. Think about that. I'm going to bring on a couple of guests. We have a few in the background we'll get to in just a moment. But yeah, let's talk about that. I mean, that is ultimately a very scary thing to think about. Welcome to Sean Whitwood. What What do you see when you look at that clip there, Sean?
Yeah, so I mean, when I see it, that was only on a short 2 years, right? And this is what happened. So I mean, as we compare that with our lives, if you just start letting AI come in and take the jobs that they keep on saying, one robotic arm in a warehouse can replace up to 5 people's jobs, right? What are we going to do? Are we going to be just like these mice in the study? There has to be something in life to work for, right? That's why we do what we do. So, it's a great study that somebody done it. They use mice to see how the reaction is, and in human,
I think
we're
it was
kind
from
of
1968 to 1971. I think it might have been a 4-year thing. I don't know. Again, I'll put the link down below, and we can certainly make the research available. I mean, I'm nervous when it comes down to it, because obviously it's something they're not thinking about. Now, here's a good question. And Sean, I don't mean to cut you off. I'm trying to get around to get everybody involved, give everybody a chance. Think about this, Grumpy. If that is their aim, and in the process, they're not consulting anybody, what is your thought? What I mean, don't you think things like this, when it comes to automation in general and the direction our industry goes in, don't you think we deserve say so?
Well, absolutely, we deserve a say on this. I mean, there's an old saying, "Mice to men." Well, that proves it right there. I mean, we're not mice,
That we are?
so,
No, that is
and we're not robots either.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I mean, I get the feeling more and more often, it's like the philosophy back in the day where everybody was herded together in one room and told, get along, do this, do that. And yeah, even when I was growing up, when they had these experiments, they didn't turn out well. I mean, so what's the message you think of when you see stuff like this, Vince? I mean, what comes to your mind?
Oh,
Hold on a minute.
Oh,
Now you
you
go.
got me
I'm
muted.
sorry.
there we go.
Yep, there you go.
That's
Say it again.
okay.
Go ahead.
When I look at this video, I think of profits over people, right? And that's the top 1% are constantly, even though they have more than enough, they think of ways to get more from the people that actually need it, which is the middle class, right? So if you get rid of the middle class, who's going to keep building? Who's going to have these skills? Who's going to use their mind to think for themselves and procreate like this shows? That's a perfect example of how to destroy a society, is to think about me or I and not think about your neighbors or the man or woman next to you.
Certainly. Caitlin, great you could join us. Catherine, I think the name is. I'm trying to get the names. Very small print. Please forgive me, guys. Let me see. Here I am. Says, well, sure, I'm glad to see you guys once again. Grumpy, she's saying hello to you, so hopefully all is well.
Hi, Catherine.
Yep, Fate is also in the house. Welcome to the show, Fate. Glad you're
Boom.
joining us. There you go. One more guest in the background, so let me bring him up and give him an opportunity to have some say so. Welcome once again, Thumper. How are you tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. I
What
have
do you think of the,
I have
what
no
do you-
clue what we're talking about because my audio kept cutting in and out. So I had
Oh,
to do the
sorry.
famous StreamYard shuffle.
Yeah, I hear you.
That's
I hear
fun.
you. I saw Will back there, so it'll probably happen again.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're working on those StreamYard issues, so patience to everyone watching. What we're talking about, and I'll briefly reset so people know what it is we're talking about. The idea of automation being introduced into our industry and others as well, and it seems to me and others like they're doing this on a full tilt, all balls to the wall kind of mentality. And I just displayed what I think is a warning to everybody who's looking to create the perfect utopia involved behind trying to use automation and other means to lessen the burden of stress and all in the guise of safety. I think what we could see happen is the results from said study. Okay, so that's what makes me nervous, because
So
the beautiful ones is a perfect display of what happens to a group of people that are no longer given a purpose, that are no longer capable of doing what their original intent in society was. So knowing that, Thumper, what do you got to say? I mean, anything come to mind?
It sounds like a bad case of iRobot.
iRobot?
Yeah,
I thought that
I
would
don't-
come to your mind. Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is. Is they're like, oh
Yeah.
well, we got to make our jobs easier by replacing them with robots and computers and everything else. Well, in all reality, you're taking jobs away from everybody.
Right. Well, things have been indeed busy as always, but of course, been getting out for my weekly walks. Good to hear. Good to hear. I like to hear about good, positive results, helping Dad out as much as I can. Well, you certainly do that and do it as best you can. Let me see. Truckers are superheroes. Okay, we're going to get to that, Vince. We're going to get to that. Because, I mean, what I want to do now is take what we've just talked about. I don't want to morph it into, and I keep using the word morph. I'm going to get out of that habit. But I want to graduate that into what I think is some underhanded stuff. Okay? Because when you think about it, automation is good. It's healthy when it's backed up with people that are involved in the process. Think about for just a minute, all of the ABS tech, all of the lane departure tech, all of the safety equipment that currently exists on the rigs you drive. Some of it actually helps. Most of it, most people have issues with. Again, I
I'm
said
sorry.
some help, most have issues. So I'm trying to thread the needle here. I have a reason. I get where you're going, Thumper. Hold on a second.
I know, but I gotta laugh at it because my shit ain't that new.
Well, I have a reason I'm saying this, because what we're not aware of are all the behind the scenes tests and all the effects of things that we're not told about until they show up on the 6 o'clock news. Take, for
I
example,
just-
this
I
right
just
here.
real
Take, for
quickly want to
example,
say
this.
something too.
What?
I'll wait.
What's that Waymo doing?
Hold on.
The Waymo's on.
All right, I'll stop it. Go ahead, Grumpy.
I was just going to say, you keep saying morphin. I mean, what the hell are we? Go, go, mighty morphin truckers. I mean, come on.
Real quick before we move on, and I know Sean and Vince would like to hear this, but this has been kind of popping up on my news feed just here recently, last couple of days. There's a city in Minnesota where all the tick cameras got cut down.
Talking about the flock cameras.
Yeah, the flock cameras.
Oopsie.
There we go. The flock cameras, not the tick.
And
The flock
nobody's
Unbelievable.
cameras.
ratting anybody out. Nobody's ratting
Yep,
anybody out.
the city is actually sticking together on it too.
Yep.
But
All right,
yeah,
hang
just-
tight, guys. Let me show this video and let's
Yep.
move the conversation forward, because I think tonight is about to get really rocky. So let's check this out.
On the track.
These are all Waymo robo-taxis, and you may have seen one of these videos on social media.
That definitely ran a red light. Oh my god.
As Waymo aggressively expands to new and more complicated cities, our CNN analysis of public records, including calls for service, police reports, and city council meetings, finds hundreds of incidents where Waymos are confused in everyday moments, putting pedestrians, passengers, and others on the road in potentially dangerous situations. If you don't know what a Waymo
Okay. I'm not even going to introduce the Waymo because that's where that news clip goes from. Suffice it to say, they're becoming more problematic, slowly and ever more surely. That's just cars. Now, I want you to stop and think, and I'm going to let somebody who I know is really dogging to address this go in right behind me. Imagine, if you will, that very thing you just witnessed, those very situations happening with an 80,000-pound rig. That is terrifying, don't you think, Sean?
Yeah, no, I mean, and these are the things that, you know, as they say that, oh yeah, safety's coming out, we have to you know, if you look at the trucking side right now, they have a pilot program going on. So there is a driver behind the wheel, where these have no pilots behind them. They're actually 100% running on autonomous. So you got to kind of compare apples to apples, right? So these are cars, they're smaller, and we're already seeing these kind of problems, right? So
Right.
like you said, what are we going to do when we have an 80,000 pound semi 53-foot trailer going on it, behaving the same way these are? You know, so it's very important that we look at all the studies, right? We look at what we can compare with. You know, same thing with a bank when you're asking for a loan, right? They want to compare to give you finances. How do you, you know, how do you compare with it? So this is what we're looking at of what our roads and our streets could potentially look
Yep.
like on a bigger level, bigger scale, because
Yep.
you know they're only a few feet long, where a truck and trailer were, you know, stretching out at 85, 90 feet long. So
Yep.
we take up more highway than those little cars do when they stop
And
in full traffic.
and not to mention the increased threat of damage and loss of life. I mean, that by itself is pretty darn scary when you think about it. So I mean, Vince, from your perspective, I mean, the fact that we're not really very well consulted about things like this, what comes to mind with you?
Well, you know, every morning when I fire up that engine and I get in a truck, everyone around me, you know, my home state is Nevada, but when I'm in Texas or Florida or New York, everybody around me, I care about them, right? I care about the public safeties, as all professional truck drivers do. And I think of the person in front of me, that's my wife. The person next to me, that's my son, that's my mom. So we take it very seriously, public safety 101. But these Waymo cars, all they know is what they're being taught, and they glitch out, right? So what happens when a 80,000 pound vehicle glitches out? 20 people lose their life. So it's something, in my opinion, that we have to stop. We can't allow this.
We really need to consider carefully every single time we talk about changing something. Because when you think about it, when you're changing anything, you know, you got to realize there's a consequence behind every little change, every little
So
thing you do, and it may be small to some, it may be big to others. You know.
here's something that just popped in my head with this autonomous thing, and I'm putting a scenario out there.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's use the Rocky Mountains. You said Nevada, and that's kind of what kind of made me think of this. When you're going down a mountain grade, as an experienced driver who's driven in the, you know, out in the Rockies and stuff, we know what to do. We know how to keep our brakes cool and everything else. But if this autonomous stuff
Yep.
doesn't, and they're going down a hill and they keep applying the brakes keep giving out and everything else. I mean, you can't take real experience and put it in a computer. There's just no physical way of doing it, is what I'm getting at.
Yep. Very true.
Absolutely.
Here's another thought to that. I was going to mention it on last week's show, but this is a good time now since Thumper brought that up. Will these autonomous semi trucks understand whenever their brakes overheat and they lose their brakes? Do they know what a runaway ramp is? And do they know where they're going to be located? And do they know when to use them?
Yep.
Aha.
That's an interesting thing, and I don't honestly think I've seen very many people on shows like what we're having here bring that up.
Well,
That is a very good point.
that's kind of what I was just getting at. He just simplified what I was saying.
So
Yes.
they have been running mountain tests. They've been running them in Ohio, and Tennessee area. You know, on
But
their tracks.
That's nothing
Those are
compared
babies.
to the Rockies.
Those are baby mountains.
Yeah, so they got to start somewhere, right? They got to make it so the investors and everybody else on the highway sees that they're actually, you know, being tested, and it is a test site. But you're right though. I mean, like what are sensors, and when one goes out, you know, the only really things that a human has is a medical issue or you know that part of it, right? If you put 100 sensors on there, you have 100 different sensors that could go out, and we know how sensors work, right? They're not always liable. We always happen to, you know, pull into a mechanic shop and get it fixed. So with an autonomous, there's nobody to really take control over it and say, hey, you know what, it's time to get it off the road like it should. So,
Yep.
you know, these are the things that we
Let
have
me-
to watch as they come into our industry.
Yeah, let me catch up on comments here because I'm looking at the screen, so I'm not really focusing on the camera. Catherine says, what you said about not being more robots, about not being robots grumpy is absolutely true. I've seen in videos where robots help make all kinds of stuff for people in factories, but they also do welding. So that's kind of dangerous when you think about it. I mean, how many welding fires have you seen start up? I mean, good Lord, that's kind of scary when you think
Robots have been in the industry, you know, manufacturing industry for years. I mean, it's not perfected, but they got that narrowed down.
Yep.
But you know, that's contained.
Yep.
Where this is not contained.
Yep.
Right, and then you got to look at, right. So when you look into the robots or the robotic factors,
Whoever that commenter is, I agree.
you kind of got to look at how many jobs is that's being replaced, right? So they did a study. I think it was in Baltimore University. Don't quote me on it, but that's about where it's at. And they were basically trying to figure out, if we were to take one robot, how many jobs would that replace, right? So, you know, one robot on the automobile side, just building cars, takes two people's jobs, right? Then we move it up into the paint booth area. That one robotic arm will replace four people's job, right? That's the taping, that's the spraying, you know, those qualified jobs. So, you know, and then you can get into the food area. It could take up to 10 people's jobs away. So, you know, the studies are showing that, hey, you know what, it's great technology, because you got to look at, if you were swinging boxes all day long, right? Can you save somebody's back? Can you do that way? I mean, yes. But however, you still have to look at, you know, the thing with the rats, right? If nobody works, what are you going to be working for? And more people,
yes,
they're qualified different, right? We don't want, not everybody's qualified to drive an 80,000-pound truck going down the road, right? And we know this, right? So they have to have jobs that they can work in factories to have, you know, and if a robot's going to replace it, what are we going to have?
Exactly. I want to reset for a moment, let everybody know exactly what we're talking about tonight. So be patient with me, guys. What tonight we're talking about is basically what happens when no one shows up. All the meetings across the country, all the issues we're talking about with Senate Bill 8870, the 250 bill, all the automation concerns, everything going on in trucking today. What could our future look like if, quote, no one shows up? As we opened the show, I talked about the beautiful ones, Universe 25, and the detrimental effect of the perfect utopia provided to a society that really, if we're not careful, could wind up happening here today. We have a guest backstage. I have a few comments I want to catch up on. If you're watching us on the replay, please hit the like button. If you're watching us live and want to join the show, click the link immediately over top of the description. We'd love to have you. Commenter goes on to say, take cars for example. They spot weld the car parts together in the assembly line, and it's amazing how robots can help people get stuff done. What do you guys think? Well, I think part of that is kind of obvious, but Vince, I mean, what do you think?
I think whenever the global elites, corporate giants, or the government, whenever the government or these global elites talk about how this new technology is going to make us all more comfortable, it's going to make us more money, it's going to be, you know, it's for safety. I absolutely do not believe that, because to me, it looks like every time they make a promise, they break it, and we become more broke, we become more stressed out, and we're put more in danger. Our families are put more in danger. This technology is great, but is it providing more jobs? Is it providing the pursuit of happiness in America for more American families? Or is it just making the 1% richer or more powerful? That's the concern. So I don't believe all that I hear anymore.
Yeah, huge concern. Thumper, you were going to say something. I'm going to bring somebody up afterwards.
Yeah, so I actually just seen an article recently, and this is about cars that have, you know, that drives themselves and the person sits there, you know. Right. And I should really see if I can find it again. But he got pulled over, this car that was driving itself,
Right.
and he got a ticket for like distracted driving or something like that. And
Okay.
the driver of the car is like, well, the car drives itself. It doesn't matter. You're still sitting in the driver's seat. You're still in command of
Mhm.
the vehicle, whether it's speeds, switch lanes, whatever, was in a Tesla.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's something to think about right there too. You can't just sit in these vehicles and read a book or fall asleep or whatever, because in my standpoint the officer's doing the right thing, because you're still distracted driving even though it's
Right.
driving itself.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Sean, do you want to speak to the graphic on the screen? Anything you want to say about it?
Yeah. So basically, if you want to get some good information, if you go over to We the Truckers, we're trying to get more people involved, right? With their communities, with the government side of it. We're asking people to send a letter to the government and or the congressman and say, hey, you know what? Can you please look into this, right? We're building an application for people to use and interview the person that you voted for, right? Because here's the thing: if we start taking truck drivers' jobs away and we start taking more AI to it,
Yeah.
we need to start looking at what the real outcome is going to be down the road.
Yeah.
So it's more than ever now is the time to ask questions and get answers,
is.
right?
It is.
So if you check out the We the Truckers, you can actually go into the government site in there, and it'll actually show you what state you live in, what congressman that you need to write to. It sends you to their email that you
Yep.
can actually email, phone call, or send a letter. So it's a great for truckers or any person actually that wants to get involved to help trucking. So
Certainly.
that's pretty much it in a shell.
Yep. I think, Vince, I'm going to give you the same privilege because your graphic is up as well. So what do people need to know about that?
Well, Truckers Unite now, we do lives every Tuesday morning, 10 a.m. Pacific, and we do lives on Fridays, 5 p.m. Pacific. That's for the people, small carriers, truck drivers, brokers, mechanics, cops, the American public. And what we're doing is uniting truckers. Every live, it's getting bigger and bigger by the week. Sean and I host it. And we have a lot of drivers come in and talk. We talk about other trucking channels, and we're all about unity. We're doing barbecues once a month at the truck stops, feeding truckers, just talking about mental health awareness. We have a QR code people can scan and go to We the Truckers and find other great advocates that are just bringing the goalpost closer to actual middle-class blue-collar workers, such as
Exactly.
ourselves.
And this is not just a trucking so closed in on truckers. This is everybody. I mean, I don't mean to overstep your purpose, Vince, but from what I've seen from both We the Truckers and Truckers Unite now, this involves everybody. This really should. If it don't currently, it should involve everybody, because every single person anywhere in the country is affected by what happens to truckers. So we need to really take an affirmative stance. We really need to get more involved, and we really need to ask more questions, such as what's on the screen right now. Who will be held responsible and who will be held accountable? Hold that thought for just a minute, Vince. I want to introduce Semi Corey, the guest from last week's show. So I want to give you an opportunity to sound off about what you've heard so far and offer anything new. If you'd like to do so, by all means, go right ahead.
Hey, sorry I popped in late. I thought it was kind of interesting, like you brought up the whole utopian thing.
Yeah.
Because back many years ago when I was in college, I read a case study on the utopia theory.
Right.
And I'm not going to draw it all out, but the doctor who wrote the thesis, he did 5 separate experiments where he gave like a group of mice the perfect utopian world. Unlimited food, unlimited housing, anything and everything to make them happy.
Right.
And all 5 times that utopia failed miserably. It collapsed. And the argument that he was bringing up in his thesis is, if we live in a utopia, what are we really living for?
Exactly. Yeah, and that's the fear.
So
And that's part of how and
Yeah.
why the beautiful ones flourished and became known
Mm-hmm.
such as they did. And that's what really scares me. So
Yep.
by the way, guys, I'm gonna say something. If you're driving, if you're mobile, please do me a favor, and I just muted you semi, not to be rude to you. But if you got background noise, please, when you're on my show, be sure and mute until you want to speak. It's a real easy process and it saves everybody from having to talk over everybody else. So to the question on screen, who would be held accountable? I mean, I'm trying to go round and get everybody equally. So, Grumpy, what do you think? I mean, when it comes to holding people accountable for mistakes made and things that go wrong with any of the decisions made, what do you got to say about that?
Well, if we're still on the autonomous type talk, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Certainly.
Well, basically, the way I look at it is, first place it should go is the owner of the truck. So if we know Hirschbach has purchased some. Okay, so they own the truck.
Yeah.
So they should be liable first. Secondly, they should be checking in on the computer systems, and then it backfire towards the ones that created it.
I'm going to give you some pushback because I can already tell by the look on Sean's face that that's exactly
It's
where
coming.
this pushback
It's
is going to
coming.
go. So I'm going to step in front of him and steal his thunder, and I'm going to say, think about the exemptions that they're putting in. They're trying to make it so that companies as big as Aurora, companies as big as Gatik, and all these big and mind you, we know about the biggest ones. We don't know about the 23 other companies that are currently neck deep in financing and investment funds that are pushing the same thing that Aurora and Gatik are. So my question to you, Grumpy, is how do you handle things like that when that comes up? Yeah, you can go after the company, but what good's that going to do you if the company that they're utilizing to run the technology is exempted?
No, that exemption should not be available. That needs to be fought against. Here's the reason why. We're not exempt when we are out here on the road and we have an accident. Somebody needs to be accountable, and it should be the ones that have the machines made and the
Sean,
purchasers.
You want to talk about the research you've been conducting?
So absolutely, you're right. I mean, that's the real world where it should be at. But they're actually in the Build America 250 Act and all these other bills that they're passing. They're asking for self-regulation, right? So they're saying that they want to be
Thank you for the good
self-regulated.
vote. Be sure to hit the like button before you leave. Thank you. Keep going, Sean.
And then basically they're asking for an exemption on everything, right? So including from the insurance, from nuclear verdicts. You know, we've been seeing like $27 million nuclear verdicts, but in reality, it's set a capped at a $10 million cap. So basically they're saying that whatever accident they have is only involves about $10 million. So here's how they're getting around to getting that exemption to make it not their fault, right? And anytime that we have a big tech, they should be at fault, right? They're trying to make it sound like, well, when you buy your cell phone, right, whatever you do harmfully on a cell phone is your responsibility. And I'm all like, wait a minute, that's a cell phone. That gives you your human right to do that. We're in a truck and a semi to get this kind of leadway. This is all on you guys, right? If it goes out there and has an accident and crashes or stops a fire truck from getting to a scene, that's a tech problem, right? That's not I signed into an app and I was looking at stuff that I shouldn't have been looking at. This is something that you have full control on it. And that's where we need to be looking at congressmen and saying, hey, look, where do you draw the line in the sand and say, hey, look, we're not going to give you guys the freedom that you want. You've had investors, you invested in it. We don't get that kind of leniency, just like what Grumpy's saying, right? We have to follow the regulations that they set in for us. You know, we're held at higher standards than any other industry on this planet. We're at the highest. So how are you going to give a tech company that's never even drove a truck, let alone an exemption on everything?
Technical issues I'm working with, so I'm going to ask y'all be patient on it. I'm on a separate screen, but Vince, I want to ask you a question. Where should owner operators fit into the future of autonomous freight, and who should be advocating for that in our place? What say you on that question?
Well, I think I know owner operators are 86% of this country's small business owners for the trucking industry, which is the biggest industry in the
Segment.
country.
Biggest
So,
segment. Yep.
yeah, I think it's important that owner operators fight for owner operators and push back against all three of our actual people that are ruining all middle class lives of every industry, which is the global elites, corporate giants, and the government. So it's going to take all of us. There's not just one man or woman out there that's going to fix it. It's we, the people. We have to fix this problem. We have to tell the government what to do. The government is our employee. We are their boss. So it's time for us to step up and go talk to them and say, hey, we're not going to tolerate this. This isn't what we want, period.
I appreciate the kind comment. I'm assuming that's your better half in the background. Awesome truckers here. Good job, Patriots. Thank you for that awesome point of view. Thumper, you turned the camera off. I was about to go to you and give you the same question. I mean, what do you think of the whole idea of owner operators being correctly represented? Who should be fighting for us?
Well, honestly, I think if we're fighting for ourselves, we should have our own say in it, not somebody speaking for us.
Yeah, well, you've got a few grassroots movements like, Truckers Unite Now, We the Truckers, but they can only get just so much done, and they can only do so much at one time. So it kind of appears that, until more people know about movements like those two, we're kind of limited because, everybody else that most commonly leave the mouth of most independent truckers, they're fighting for everybody else. If you mention ATA, you're practically laughed out of the industry. If you bring up OOIDA, they're not going to help you unless you pay their dues. So what's that leave?
Even then, they're not going to help you.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's just the thing. We've had discussion before.
Yeah.
Any organizations that say they're for the truckers, they're really not unless you have money into it. Yeah. So, like Sean and Vince, they're pointing us in the right directions and gathering truckers together so we have a voice. That does make a big difference.
It does. So let me ask, and this is going to be for anybody in the comments, you guys watching at home, let me know, or you guys, on the panel right now. If can an industry remain strong if its most experienced professionals slowly stop participating in conversations? Do we get something done that way, or what may we be missing? Think about it from that respect, and that goes to anybody.
I would say definitely not. It's like Sean's always saying, when you get out of your truck at a truck stop, instead of just being glued to your phone and doom scrolling, why not go, open the door for a truck driver, talk to another fellow truck driver, unite, have conversations, go buy a CB, throw it in your truck, talk to these men and women. I mean, that's the strongest thing we can do is literally talk to each other and bring back the brotherhood, the sisterhood of trucking that we had in the 70s.
Yep. It will make the biggest difference, believe you me.
Yeah,
soon enough, we're gonna be, I think, almost forced into advocating our own position. One of the reasons I bring this up, I'm gonna play this clip here just a second. I want you to see exactly what I think his name is Moyer. It was an ABC News report. See exactly what he has to say about this automation. So pay attention to this for a minute. As soon as it begins to play, I always get that 5-second dead air lead in. So come on. There we go. Well, come on. Oh, that's right. That's the one I had with no audio. That's okay. That was the, okay. So I'm going to move on to the next clip. We'll talk about that in a minute, but let's use the one with audio.
Actually, I was hoping to touch on two different things real quick.
1 minute.
If that's
hang tight. Let the play first. Come on.
There we go.
Come on.
I think we're getting it.
Yep. Technical issues.
Thanks for your
This video
patience,
here
everyone.
captured several of the self-driving cars just clogging up a neighborhood cul-de-sac. The people living in the Northwest Atlanta neighborhood say dozens end up circling their community. Channel 2 Steve Gelbach is on one street where they want the Waymos to stop.
It's almost every little cul-de-sac around our area, so I think it's a real problem.
Waymo after Waymo after Waymo enter this dead-end street, usually early in the morning.
I think yesterday morning we had 50 cars that came through between 6 and 7.
Neighbors on Battleview Drive started seeing the autonomous, driverless cars 2 months ago, but the groupings and large number of Waymos just started circling in and out in the last couple weeks. They even...
All right, yeah. So obviously there's a lot of confusion in exactly how they're doing things. And if these automated cars can't figure things out as simple as how to direct them carefully, how are they going to handle fleets? I mean, huge fleets of 80,000-pound vehicles when they can't even figure out something as simple as Waymo taxis. And that is but one example of many across the country. Atlanta, there was an episode, I think, in San Francisco I could have brought out. There was another one somewhere in San Bernardino. Another report came out of Seattle. I mean, so these Waymos, if they're in service, they got issues. And we want to trust fleets of trucks? Sean, what say you? Or what? Hold on, Sean. Semi, you wanted to pipe up. Yeah, get in there. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, like, to touch on two different things. The first one is what what Giggles was saying about the owner of the truck being responsible for it.
Sure.
So I already see the first issue that's going to come up. Say one of those Hirschbach trucks crashes. First thing Hirschbach is going to do when the lawsuit goes after them is they're going to try and dismiss it, claiming that they do not own the proprietary technology, and they're going to try and push it onto Aurora. And Aurora is going to try and dismiss it, claiming that they don't own the truck, therefore it's not their responsibility, and it's going to cause a big dead end, and it's going to get the higher courts involved just to figure it out. And
remember too, we're picking on Aurora, and we're picking on the most popular. But realize too, there's more companies with a lot more sticking power together than just that one company that we're all familiar with. We know about Hirschbach because of Wildbeard. We know about the problems because of Prime and all these other companies that are engaging in talks. But we don't know about the other 22, 23, other companies that so far are trying to get their hand in the cookie jar and make life rough for the employed. Sooner or later, I'll be coming up here, just like some creators, the common everyday life of the unemployed. Is that what you want your future to be like? Well, trust those 23 companies, my friends. That's going to happen. Go ahead.
And that raises the next question: is what is the long game for these trucks? Like, for example, a lot of us owner operators we get hand-me-down trucks. So what's going to happen when these trucks go into the market?
Yep.
Well, see,
answer that question.
So what my comment is we were in a live earlier, right? And a gentleman said, "Hey, you know what? Technology is great, right? If you was to put, 100,000 of these semis out on the road and running, that's fine. But you have another 253 million people. How are they going to control around it, right? So you can have a person that can actually be a law-abiding citizen, right? And we see this way. And then it only takes one bad apple to ruin that area. So do we keep it where a human's behind the wheel? So when something does happen like that, there's accountability? Or do we leave it as in a computer hand and saying, hey, you know what? Nobody's held responsible. But if we're just going to do that for a tech company, we should be doing that for every single American. What is the difference between, the way they put their pants on and they don't, or the way we put our pants on and they don't put no pants on at all? Like there has to be a fine guideline to say everybody gets away with it. This is why we make laws, right?
Yeah.
So you want my honest opinion here?
Go ahead, Tom. Go ahead.
So before Vince and Sean came onto the show, this was quite a few oh, maybe a couple months ago, we talked about a driver shortage. Well, there is no driver shortage, so this autonomous truck is creating a driver shortage, is what it is. So they have something to argue about.
Yep.
Yeah, so
Back in
we
the-
don't have a
back
driver
in-
shortage. We have a driver attention problem, right? Drivers, they don't take care of
Driver
their drivers, right?
Attention or retention?
Or
Clarify
retention,
that.
sorry. Retention problem, sorry. You know, they're not taking care of drivers, right? Not like they used to back in the day, or even on a small world, right? Now most mega carriers, they don't even know your name. They know you by a number. You know, they don't know what your family life's like. They're not calling and checking in on you and seeing how you're doing anymore. Now they're using AI to call you and say, hey, when you're going to be to your next load, right? Brokers are even doing the same thing by using AI to say when your load's going to be here. And it's weird, right? So I look at a lot of studies, and it's weird when I look at government sends me a letter back for a Foley, or if I'm looking at a study from a college, right? And I see AI, and I start reading like AI is reading. I'm actually starting to think just like AI now, right? Or way I write. You know, I write stuff out and then I check it out through AI to see if it sounds like it's AI, and it comes back AI. So now I have to restructure. And the problem is what are we going to do with kids, our next generation, as we bring them into this workforce, right? If you're reading and you're sounding just like AI, you're going to start being like AI. And that's dangerous, right?
Yep.
People should think for themselves.
People are what the world around them gives them. Listen, we didn't have audio on this clip, Sean, but I do want to play the video, and I want to talk about some of the consequences of improperly managed AI and autonomous driverless vehicles. So let me go ahead and play that. As that plays, tell me what your thoughts are and what you're seeing and what is being demonstrated in this clip.
Yeah, so if we look at this clip, what happened is there was a building on fire, right? The fire department was called out. They were trying to get to the scene, and what happened is they had a vehicle. It saw that there was a problem, and it tried to do a 3-point turn. For some reason, the technology, when it got into a 3-point turn, it paused. It turned its 4 ways on, and it stopped, right?
Yeah.
You're going to see this gentleman in the video. He's running up there because this truck needed to get in here to get to this fire. It took him 20 minutes. He called, made a phone call. He's asking them, "Hey, unlock it." Yep, and he was on hold the whole time. He finally got through. You know, in 20 minutes of technology stopping a fire department to get to a building fire, you know, what if there was people trapped in there, right? We got to look at these numbers.
Critical.
We got to look at these numbers, you know.
Especially if that's a life at stake. You know, I mean, a fire is but a manageable thing, but what about a medical emergency? You know, somebody needing, cardiac intervention, that 20 minutes would definitely make the difference. So,
that 20 minutes, that 20 minutes, if you look in Kansas right now, they actually got a law in there that they're trying to make it where trains can't be longer than 45 minutes long, because they're actually having people unalived waiting at a railroad track, waiting for that train to go past. So if you think about that little car, right? What if a semi was to block that and lock it down? Now we have to find a professional driver to be able to maneuver this thing around, right? That was a car. A police officer knows how to run a car, but can he physically jump in a semi and actually move that? So could this take 45 minutes? Absolutely.
Having
could
never
this take
seen
40?
it.
Yep. Could it take 45 minutes? Could this take 3 hours? Could this take 2 hours? Where are we at, people?
Imagine, just to back you up, Sean, imagine running up on a situation where, for whatever reason, a train needs to be moved, and you're asked to suddenly move that train 50 feet to prevent a catastrophe of one kind. Could you, never having run a train, could you do that? If you walked in and looked at all the controls, could you move that train 10 or 15 feet safely without hurting anybody?
I'd have to say no. That's what I was going to say. You know,
I got a smart ass comment to that one.
Go ahead, Thumper.
I played enough Train Simulator. We're good.
That's right. Yeah, but I mean, and that's the thing.
I was just fixing to say I've watched enough train videos. I might be able to move it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and that's the mic. And that takes the average people, right? But on a rail, what are you going to mess up? You're going to go full throttle forward. You're going to go full throttle backwards, right? And a semi on a road, well, now you gotta know how to not jackknife it. You know, you gotta look at your turns. How many people are behind it? You know, like I guarantee you, if you threw me on a train, I'm gonna try whatever I can. If I didn't know anything about trucking, and you're telling me I need to move this semi, and I didn't know what I knew then, I probably wouldn't know how to do it. Even if
Here's
somebody
another.
called me and walked me through.
Let me.
Here's another thing that's even scary.
Hold on,
But
guys.
here's another thing
Hold
that's
on. I'm going to hit the mute button here in a minute. Let me reset real quick. For those of you joining us, we're talking about the idea of higher and greater and best use and involvement in discussions about the future of trucking. Our 250 watch continues. We're talking about what happens if no one shows up and gets involved in the everyday discussions that will affect you and I to a degree that we cannot say anything about once the decisions are made. And one of the most popular discussions is regarding autonomous driverless trucks. So we're talking tonight about that. We welcome your comments. We welcome your involvement, anything you've got to say. Like the comment the person leaves down below. Back in the day, we used to talk to each other for hours and miles, and I've had some really good conversations and learned a lot from the older fellas. Can we talk about CB radios? Nobody's using them anymore because of the technology. Basically, overstepping CB radios, but that's just but a small example. So I encourage you, get involved, leave your comment. If not, two guys on this panel can tell you how you can make a difference before the end of the show. So stick around for that. CB radios, Vince, what do you think? I mean, they're not quite widely used enough. I mean, we need to bring them back.
Yeah, I mean, a CB in 12 years, the CB has saved my life one time. So, I mean, it helps truckers out. It unites truckers. And I think every trucker should have a CB. I think that they purposely got rid of CBs in 2017, 2018. They didn't come stock anymore. And that's a reason. They don't want us talking. They don't want the public to know about anything trucking. That's why it's so hard to break through. But we need the public's help. This is a national emergency.
And the amount of companies that encourage drivers with negative laws or rules in their companies penalizing you for use of CB radios while you're driving. So that's another thing going on.
Distracted driving. They're using it for distracted driving. The law enforcement, they armed them and said, hey, you know what? That's part of distracted driving. So why? Why do you want to keep a person quiet? You know, for a couple reasons, right? And we know this. And it's our duty. A smart man once said it, Ronald Reagan, when this government says I'm here to help, run. And I think we should be looking at CB radios like one of these movements that you don't need CB radios anymore, right? We're telling you don't need them. We should be running to go get CBs and getting them, buying them all out. Put them all in every single truck. That if your friend don't have one and you got money, buy them one. Because it's a form of the government sitting at their front door saying we're here to help you.
Right? Think about this. And I got the question in. You know, we have in our midst, right, what I just showed you and everybody, the experiment called The Beautiful Ones. We were talking passionately about the idea of what happens when you live in a utopian-like society. So without comparing us to mice or people to mice, what does that tell you, and what question do you think that raises for us? Such as what happens when experienced professionals simply disengage from issues that make such a vital importance? What do you guys think?
Well, I think you're just going to be building another man's dreams if you're not creating your own dreams with your hard work and, being uncomfortable. Nobody wants to be uncomfortable today. Not a lot of people want to work hard, right? Truckers are some of the hardest working men and women. Yeah, it's terrible. Being lazy and being comfortable is not good for a human being. It makes you weak. It makes you lazy, and you don't grow, and your dreams don't become the pursuit of happiness, right? And that's what the elites are counting on. That's what the FMCSA is counting on. Just like the manual transmission, them getting away with it in 2020, right? Unless you buy it special order. Every stock truck now comes fully automated. They want to make the trucks easier to drive. But this industry takes a special type of person to drive this equipment around the country safely.
It does indeed.
That's
Doesn't it?
it.
Truckers, get involved. That was your better half making that. Cheap Freight Hauler says just needed to stay at a Holiday Inn, then you'd be a professional train conductor. Here you go. At Holiday Inn Express commercial. Gotta like that. Just catching up on the comments here. That was my question. So, all right, most have turned the CBs off because of the repetition of hey, got no panties on. Well, I mean, even if you do keep the volume low, despite those, characteristics of CB traffic of the day, I mean, yeah, to Vince's explanation, I've had a number of, and I don't have a CB right now because the truck didn't come with it. And I haven't brought from the house to here. I'll use it if I need it. And I believe in it. But the thing is, the amount of times I had it in my old truck, I can't tell you. If I didn't know about mile marker 67 with the accident and blocked right lane, I'd have ran into the damn thing. So I am so thankful that I don't have to reach down and talk on it. In fact, my mic never worked. But I had it and I could hear what was going on. That's the crucial thing. And that's why I think CB radios need to be basically reinstated as a necessity. I really do. So
yeah, so when I was actually hauling birds, live birds, we actually kept a CB radio on it so we could actually listen to see what's going on because they're a vital commodity. You can't stop, right? So we would actually use the CB radios, and then we would look for a detour to get around it because we had to keep them moving. If not, we had animals' lives in our hands that could be jeopardized. So I mean, look at the snowstorms that we see in Wyoming and what the outcomes of those and whiteouts that a CB radio could have actually helped. And I'm not saying keep it on 24/7, but keep it on when bad weather conditions, if it's raining, if it's all the winds are blowing real hard, your radio should be on. I mean, it's a tool that you should utilize. Heavy traffic, have it on.
There you go.
Yeah. So I mean, and then you can turn it down. Yeah, Mud Duck was a nuisance, right? He was but I mean, was it by design? What was that something to make it where people shut it off? Were they giving him the power? Were they giving him the power to get out there to aggravate the heck out of everybody to shut it off?
We could have a whole nother video discussion about that. So
that's right.
And you know what else we can do as truckers? Real quick, we can hold them accountable, boss man. That's what we need to do is start holding each other accountable. We get a knucklehead on the CB radio, we take care of it. You all know what I mean.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was a nightmare.
CBs.
I was going to bring up something.
Hold on. After Thumper. Go ahead, Thumper.
CBs work great if you have them on the right channel. I went 3 weeks without having it on the wrong channel. Didn't even realize it.
Wow.
There you go. Go ahead,
Breaker 19.
Yeah, I've done that too, where you go to a place and they're like talk on channel 18 or whatever, and you forget to go back to 19, and you're like, man, this thing ain't working at all because the receivers use them even, and there's still a lot of receivers that you can get checked in a lot faster if you have a CB radio versus trying to call a number or walking up. So
some of them, but not a lot of them allow that. So go ahead, Grumpy.
Well, what I was going to say is got to do with our autonomous subject. Here I was sitting here thinking about most of them autonomous trucks. They've been running mostly on interstates and 4-lane highways, at least, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's plenty of space there for officers or emergency and all that to get by it.
Yeah.
But a 2-lane highway, does this truck know that it needs to get over or stop so that paramedic or fire truck or emergency vehicle of any kind can get on past?
Well, that one news report showed you exactly what a robo taxi will do when it encounters, because actually no, it didn't, because I kind of cut the B-roll for time's sake. But one of those videos showed the robo taxi actually freezing and stopping. Yeah. And waiting.
I've seen the actual video.
The emergency it was waiting to see what that actual emergency traffic was going to do, but that action by itself creates another problem. So they're not perfect, and they're not reacting correctly. So
you look at the robo taxis in California, right? They had a blackout that stopped 1,500 robo taxis in the middle of intersections. 911 dispatchers were on the phone calls with the robotaxi. They were on there for over 53 minutes trying to get the vehicles to get them out of the intersection. And this was out of blackout, right? We just had a blackout on airplanes up in Minnesota. Thumper, you probably know about that actually shut down Iowa, Minnesota, Nebraska, Montana, and North Dakota, I believe is what they were, the states. But now they're saying that it's going to take 4 days to 5 days to get the airplanes back on track. So what is it going to do to autonomous, if we self-driving trucks out here, that if they shut down, if we put medical equipment on there for medication, and what's that going to do to the outcome? Most people don't look at the bigger picture like we do. We look at every angle of it and say, what could happen? What's going to happen? Does somebody have an answer? These are the questions we should be asking, and we should be getting answers back instead of going, oh no, it's different, it's this, it's that, and we're always getting pointed around, and we're seeing that when we call on little things, and they're like, oh, that's not our apartment, call these guys. Well, that's not our department. We're getting this ring around the
How many
rosy,
times they're passing
and
it
it's
off?
done.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so these autonomous things, the Build American 250 Act, there's a lot of stuff in there that they keep asking for leniency on it, that we should be saying, hey, enough is enough. We're not gonna put up with giving them what they want. To me, they kind of, the big corporations kind of remind me of that spoiled little brat kid, right? That gets everything in their way. They get everything. Why truck drivers are the ones that's out there having to do everything that that little spoiled kid doesn't want to do. So I mean, it's just another angle of how truly they're getting us.
Yeah. Who here thinks that for 1 second that these large companies, and I'm not just picking on, Aurora, and I'm not just picking on the 24 other companies that we all know is out there. I'm picking on all the major companies, the big influences in and around transportation. Because, trucking is, we're picking on it because we're truckers, right? But the same thing's happening in aviation. The same thing's happening on the rails. The same thing's happening when it comes to construction companies getting contracts to build and maintain its infrastructure. It's happening everywhere, okay? Think about this. If lawmakers only hear from one side of the circumstance, how do we get things done? How do we, affected, like taxi companies, like trucking companies, like all these service companies, like the diesel mechanics and everybody else, how do we actually have a part in managing what is going on? Now, I'm going to back that question up with a juxtaposed to what happens if no one shows up. That's the whole reason I'm mentioning this, because to me, you would think it would be vitally important to have your money in the pot, your voice represented, and everything you've worked for protected. And yet, the more I talk and the more I hear from people, the more I hear about the simulated video that I put up on my TikTok. You've got person A and you've got person B. Which one are you? Person A loves trucking. He wants everything to work out in his favor. And for you too. Person B is like, oh man, it doesn't matter what you say. You're screwed anyway. Well, not exactly what I said, but you get the point, right?
Yep.
So which one are you? Are you A or are you B? The longer it takes for you to make up your mind, the harder it is to catch up.
Yeah,
so I'm going to get off my soapbox. Go ahead.
Yeah, could you imagine being a union representative right now? Trying to protect jobs right now in this day and world. Like, they're really having to get out there and actually work, right? Their hands are they're everywhere. They're on the rail trying to get autonomous out of that industry. You got union reps that are having to fight in these big warehouses that are union because robots taking their job. And now we're in the trucking world, right? That they're saying, hey, you know what? We're going to take trucking. And it's like, at what point, which one are they going to win? You know what I mean? They know they have everything cornered.
I don't run but one channel. That's channel 19. To answer your question, buddy. Go ahead. Sorry.
That's just it. They're not winning any of those other ones, so they're starting to throw it at everything to see which one will stick.
Which one's going to stick? Yep, absolutely.
Exactly.
And I'll say
and
this
that's what the government's good at.
To piggyback off that, you know what they're all doing on Monday? On Monday, they're talking to a congressman. On Tuesday, a senator. On Wednesday, they're making false, lying commercials. On Thursday, they're getting together in a roundtable meeting and they're uniting. So guess what? Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they're enjoying their comfortable life, their pursuit of happiness, but they're only 1%. So instead of us working 90 hours a week complaining about it, saying there's nothing we can do. Yeah, there's all this corruption and these problems, but what can I do? Well, guess what? You actually have more power in one finger as a U.S. citizen than all of the government combined. You do. They have programmed us to think that we have no power, but together we are unstoppable. Fighting shoulder to shoulder, we can get
They
it done.
programmed us, but now is that by default, or by design?
Totally by design. That's what, like I said, Thursday's roundtable meeting is how do we take CBs out of the truck? How do we lie on a commercial? How do we do this? How do we do that to gain more power? And a lot of people eat it up. They believe it. Oh, we're going to make more money. We're going to get less taxes. When has that happened? When has that happened?
When has that happened?
It only gets worse. So
it only does. Yep.
Let's get it done.
Let's do
We
it.
have the
Yeah,
power.
we need more people on the fly, being proactive, getting involved. You don't have to invest money. You don't have to invest, your house. You don't have to mortgage your truck. All you have to do is exactly what you're doing right now. Watch a show like this. Talk to people who you think feel the same way you do. And what in the hell? Once in a while, talk to somebody who feels opposite of you. What's
That's
the
it.
worst
Build
that can
relationships.
happen? I was gonna say, what's the worst that can happen? You can actually learn something. Okay,
Yeah, send an email.
Yeah,
Send an email to your congressman.
I've been running this channel, okay, now for 2.5 years. I've been on YouTube 4, and I'll tell you what, I am no more or less challenged than when I talk to people that do not agree with what I have to say. But I will tell you what I am. I am passionate about making sure that people understand why I feel the way I do. Now, sometimes I get offhand, I get off mark, and sometimes I get a little too passionate. But I always come away from every conversation learning something. So what's the worst that can happen to you? You might learn something.
And real quick, boss man, on that note,
Go ahead.
I used to, for decades, I would watch shows like this. I would complain like everybody else. And I thought to myself, oh, someone else is going to fix it, right? Oh, that guy's going to fix it. That woman's going to fix it. But the truth is, the person that's going to fix it, go look in the mirror. That's what it's going to take. I promise you. We're just regular people. We're everyday people. We're nothing special. So get involved, please. We're asking for the public's help. We need the public's help.
Yep. Without the public's help, we are nothing but an echo. And honestly, we need more than an echo. We need actual boots on the ground, people that want the same thing we do. TruckersUniteNow.com. And what's better, we the truckers. During the week, I want you guys to stay tuned with our, and you're mirrored, by the way, with our cause. We're definitely going to go the neck deep. I am, anyway. I can't speak for everybody else. But I'm going to go on a voyage, and I'm going to explore WeTheTruckers.com for a number of reasons. So what I'm going to do also in process of that is I'm going to record that in place happening, and I'm going to put it up. I want to show you guys exactly what it is they offer and how easy it is to make your mark. It's real simple. There is one thing I'm going to show you. It's called the truck stop. It is beautiful in its meaning, and it is grand in what it does. So I'm going to put my mark on that, and I'm going to walk through that, and I'm going to put it up on my channel. I welcome you. I welcome you along for the ride as I do that. WeTheTruckers.com. One more question coming to mind with practical alternatives like truckers. Let me start over. What practical alternatives could truckers propose that encourage innovation, but at the same time protect everyone involved? Think about it. I've heard a lot of talk about what they want to do, but I have heard nothing about alternatives. So I cornered somebody on a live show the other day, and I did something really I did not expect. because everybody comes into some of my live shows on TikTok and they bitch and they complain. They bitch and they complain. They make the point, this is messed up. This is wrong. But then I really quickly stopped and I caught somebody off guard. And I'm going to tell you the question I asked. Okay, you don't like A. What's your solution? So think about that one.
Are you involved somewhere?
Say again, Vince. I walked on you.
Oh, I said, are you involved somewhere? What are you doing for your country, for your people, for your industry?
Yeah. Your city council, your local community, your local charitable, whatever. If you sit and bitch and complain, and yet that's all you do, as far as I'm concerned, you're part of the problem.
I think I was on that live.
I think I was on that. Yeah. I mean, I do not. No, don't get me wrong. I don't mind when people lodge complaints or point out fallacies. I don't mind at all, because I'm just as quickly right there with you, brother. But at the same time, be willing to offer a solution.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. So most of this stuff is by design is to make you want to just complain about it, right? If we look at what we've done in the last 3 months, right? Something happens, just like the Kristi Noem thing, right? Everybody bashed it for a month, right? And they were like, "Oh, she took this money, she took this money." Then we're off onto the next thing, right? Now we're looking at going into war, and then now people are bashing on that. They never really dial in and focus. The government designs to keep you always looking. As I call it, they're like magicians, and they're holding the rabbit up over here where they got a hat. And we should, as truck drivers, look at what they're trying to say and say, "Hey, you know what? What are you guys doing over here? Why you're doing something over there?" And if every American done that, we would hold them accountable, because when we're seeing wasteful spending and grants just on the transportation side, we know that there was a lot of grants that were sent overseas. We look at all these things, but yet we just say something about it instead of saying, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to take this information and we're going to go spread it. We're going to get everybody talking about it, and let's go do something about it," right? Because that's your money. That's our money that they took from it. That was taxpayers' money. And if we have that money left over for them just a wasteful spend, give it back to where it belongs, to people. Give it back to the American people that give money to the veterans, right? Like, salute to all the veterans out there, because look at what's going on right now in the industry with saying, "Hey, come drive a truck." Have you not served enough already for this country? Now they're going to ask you to serve more and more and more. When is too much too much?
Problem is everybody's waiting on this utopia. And you're seeing on the right-hand side of the screen what happens when we get to that utopia. That right there in the bucket, those are the beautiful ones. That is the starting effect of it. There were still thousands of mites, but those few left on that picture right there right now, they were the beautiful ones. They were the disengaged ones. They were the ones that decided on their own to just worry about themselves instead of the society at large. And they were the reason the population finally decided not to repopulate. Because once you hit that plateau, once you get to that place, you no longer wish to reproduce. And how many people have you run in talking today about, I don't want to have kids in today's society?
I was going to say, are we there right now? Are we there right now? Because you can't afford them.
Yeah.
You can't afford right now, right? I mean, that's the thing.
It definitely makes you stop and think, doesn't it? That's one of the reasons why I love engaging in these conversations, because, I mean, could we be there? We don't know. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
So you're good. So you're saying, like, hold on, so I gotta regather my thoughts here.
It's a tough subject.
Sean, you were talking about taxes and spending all this other stuff. Well, why are we running out of Social Security if they're spending all that money on that?
Well, and that's the thing. Are they making it stay that way and then wasteful spending it instead of taking that money and putting it into where it belongs? Or are they doing the old rabbit trick and saying, "Hey, that's low. Why we literally waste it?" Like, I mean, not even spend it on something that's intelligent. You know what I mean? Like when you look at Doge, when they were pulling out studies that they're showing to see if Tangerains could color. You know what I mean? Like, why are we going to spend for that, but yet we can't keep?
That's
Why
a
are
real
veterans
thing.
still having to work? Right? Why can't veterans sit at home and we pay them? Why is Social Security not here? Because somebody came together and said, Tangerains needs to see if they can color. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's designed to wasteful spend that to keep us working. Because if you can keep the workforce moving past 65, 66, and then they die off, you don't have to pay that out. You know what I mean? And now that you have that money to go into somewhere else, so it's a lot of things that you got to look at. Going, why are we doing what we're doing? Why are we allowing?
Think about it.
No,
Go
and
ahead,
I
sorry.
get what you're saying. I just, I view stuff as a viewer on the show, so I ask these questions since I'm on the panel.
Yeah, no, that's a great way to get it. I kind of get way down in the rabbit hole of where the studies come from. So when you
Or the
say, hey,
mouse hole.
pause it, yeah, the mouse hole, pause it back and bring me back to reality, because it's this is how you have to look at it.
It's the
Commenters
only reason
also-
why. It's the only reason why he has me on his show.
Stop. I got you on for more than that, so I'll just never admit it. Propaganda is a very effective tool in the world of controlling the public. People are more like sheep now than ever before. Is that really the case? I mean, he said
Are
it.
we-
And,
Are we in the age? Are we in the age of where the Bible says you separate the sheep from the goat? Right? Where are we at in life? You know what I mean? It's one of those things that he's talking about. Being a sheep, right?
There's a movie I watched today with my girls. It was called Farm Animals.
Okay.
And it's literally what it was. It was the animals took over this farm. It's a cartoon. And
Here you
the
had me
pigs,
hoping we had something decent going on here.
the pigs took over the farm animals and then made a deal with humans. You got to watch it. It's really messed up, but it kind of ties into what we're talking about.
Is AI doing that to us right now, right, Thumper?
gotta wonder,
pretty
right?
much.
Thoughts
Well,
on new body styles? Kind of off topic, but we're going to be all over tonight anyway. So thoughts? Commenter asked on new body style: Volvo versus Mac.
Body styles as far as
Hold on.
trucks, Rick?
Hold on.
What's the difference? They look exactly the same.
Hold on. Let me say something here.
Go ahead, Tom.
And I'm gonna apologize in advance, boss.
Oh, I know you're gonna shit on the
Mac.
Macs, I know.
Mac bought Volvo, or Volvo bought Mac.
Yeah.
Peterbilt and Kenworth are the same thing, and I've always had this because it's like Chevy and GMC.
Yep.
Same whore, different dress.
Yep. Hell of a way to put that. Thanks for keeping my PG-13 show alive.
That's why I said I'm gonna apologize in advance.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think that Kenworth and that P.
Go ahead.
I think that Kenworth and that P is. I think the Kenworth and the Peterbilt are wearing the same goddamn skirt. You look at
Well, think about this though. There's a lot of plastic trucks, and I'm not going to spend a lot. The question was a good pattern interrupt, but and I respect all the guests that put things in here. Plastic trucks and old style trucks, really, they're two worlds apart. They're two totally different universes. Because when it comes to living in trucking, you're either in it to make money or you're in it to show off. There's no in between.
That's
if
it.
you want a hood truck, you're showing off. You're not
You're
worried
lucky.
about money.
You're
If you
lucky
want a
we're
plastic
live.
truck, then you'll have. Why is that, Thumper? Why is that?
Because that's all I've driven is a hooded truck.
Well, I know.
I know,
but if you but how's your profitability been? How's that worked out for you?
Very well.
Well, here's the thing though. If we would stop running trucks like spreadsheets, me and Thumper could actually have our old school hoods like that we like. You know what I mean?
Hold on.
We got
let me
brokers.
ask you-
I got them fired up now.
Let me ask you this, boss man.
Okay.
What do you get with your truck
does
for
it keep
fuel
doing
mileage?
that? What? Ask again.
What do you get for fuel mileage with your truck?
7 miles a gallon.
Okay, so when I was on my way back from Miami, and I was loaded at 80,000, I was pulling 7.5 with my W9 with a 3406 cat.
Okay.
Wow.
It's all the way you drive.
True. But
Absolutely.
are you driving 80,000 balls to the wall, or are you lighter than that? Because if you're driving light loads, you're going to get better mileage.
Yeah,
Here's a
but
better
no,
question.
I was right at 80,000. And the thing is I have driven a Volvo before, and I've only gotten 3 or 4 miles to the gallon with that thing too at 80,000
Here-
miles.
Here's a better question. Did that Kenworth have that after treatment on it? Was it getting choked out by the filters?
I just said it had a cat motor in it.
That cat don't never put nothing like that on them.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
But that's the point that I'm trying. That's the point that I'm trying to bring up. Your cat didn't have that after treatment system choking your motor, so you were easily getting that 7 mile.
No. I was in a 379 Peterbilt, and I didn't get anything better than 4 in that thing. And then when I got in this W9, I've been averaging right around 7 to 7.5.
Were your
And
speeds
my
the
driving,
same?
my speeds are the same. My driving habits are not the same. The transmission was an 18 speed. It was 370 rears, and I don't push that truck faster than 70, 75.
Yep. Let me take a moment and
it's
reset.
all
Let me
build-up.
take a moment. Let me take a moment and reset. We're on the hour and a half mark. To answer the question down below, best time to do it. Look, if you're interested in trucking opinions, what you need to know, news and opinions, and anybody else in the trucking industry, that if you know them and you want to tell them about our show, Trucking Frontlines, Trucking City, host Sits Left Frontline show Sundays at 9 p.m. And we welcome you and everybody in. If you're looking for advocacy and you want some answers and you want somebody to help you in your journey across America, getting everything going right for you, then you look at truckersunitenow.com. We would love to have you in along with it. So what say you about that, Vince? I understand you want to head out and get
Yeah, I
get
gotta
your,
I
get your
gotta
show
get
going. Yep.
Yeah,
In
no, I
fact,
was just
tell them
gonna
about
say,
tell them about your live show and what's important to you, buddy. Go ahead.
Okay, well, Sean and I, we host a live every Tuesday morning, 10 a.m. Pacific, and every Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific. It's for all drivers. It's your show. Our goal is to one day have a button that we can push for anyone, similar to Donald Trump with CNN and Fox. We can push a button, and anything you guys want to say, if it's factual, we will get it out there in the public. It's just facts over feelings. We'll get it out for you. We don't care what other people think. We're not for sale. We are for the blue collar, middle class American, period. Our laws are given to us by God and the Constitution, and that is it. We don't listen to what man tells us what to do, and we can't be bought out. So that's pretty much it.
And you can find this man at truckersunitenow.com. I fully encourage you to look him up. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to buy anything. You don't have to buy into anything. But we together, Trucking City, Truckers Unite Now, and WeTheTruckers.com, we're all fighting for one thing, to make trucking great again. Vince, love having you. Thank you for being part of it.
Yeah, Vince, where can we find you?
Really
well,
grumpy.
we're everywhere. We're on
Right down.
TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, X, LinkedIn, and Truth Social. We're everywhere. And most importantly, WeTheTruckers.com has what do they have, Sean? 15 Patriot or 15 advocates?
Yep.
At least, yeah. And there's fun stuff to do on there to get us all together. We're doing barbecues once a month on the 15th. We do barbecues on TikTok. Let's see, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and X, where we expand the screen for whichever driver that's cooking. So far, we have, 5? And we just circle around each one. So it's a lot of fun. Guys and gals, we get on there. The comments are going nonstop. It's a lot of fun.
Yep.
So
we actively look for that kind of engagement. Go ahead, Thumper. Go ahead.
Awesome.
I've been trying to catch you off alive.
Okay.
Were you at the Mid-American Truck Show 2 years ago?
No. My first year was this last year, 2026. Yeah.
Okay. I've met you at a truck show before. I've actually met you in person before, and I'm trying to remember where. That's why I just had to ask that.
Well, I mean, we're all over the country all the time. So maybe a truck stop, maybe I don't know.
It could have been.
Yeah. We're at a lot of different.
we're finding out it's a very small world. So I've
It
run
is.
into quite a few people, and believe me, I love that, entirely.
Me and Vince chase
So-
each other around all over the place.
Yeah, there you
Literally,
go.
like we zigzag across. I mean, once you start understanding how small the world is and how many people. I mean, we the truckers, Mike and Jane. I think we've been. I bet probably once a month we can get close to them because they run east and west. We run north and south, and somewhere along the way we're passing each other's path. And I guarantee it, we've passed each other somewhere down the line.
Yeah.
In October,
it
I'm
a
gonna
goal to
be in Nevada,
Oh, okay.
so I
Well,
don't know exactly what parts you're in, but
Reno, Nevada.
Reno?
But again, I'm all over the place, right? I'm all over the lower 48. So just DM me and we'll get together. Yeah.
all right,
For sure.
that sounds great. I'll do that, buddy.
Yeah. All right, drivers.
Sure, if I knew that, I'd stop by. I was in Reno this morning.
You guys need to
Nice.
forego the entertainment from here, but as soon as you drop off here, go to Truckers Unite Now on TikTok, and that's I think where you're fixing to head, right, Vince?
Yep.
All right.
Definitely.
Well, we'll definitely look for you. So thanks for showing up on my.
All right,
I
guys.
appreciate that.
Later, Grumpy,
So-
Thumper, Sean, and Boss
Yep.
Man.
Later.
Thanks for hosting this.
God
Always
bless
a
you. Keep it
pleasure.
rolling, my friend. Yep.
Always a pleasure.
And moving on to the questions. If you had, here's a good one.
Whoa,
Kind of
whoa.
goes to the other point that I was making back a few minutes ago. Is we had people in shows earlier that come in and bitch and complain, and we always try to bridge problem and solution. So if you had 5 minutes in front of Congress or somebody in representative seats, what's the one thing you'd change or safeguard if you were inside and had the ability to suggest or force that change? What's that one thing you'd push for?
I'd go with lobbyists. Let's get rid of the lobbying. This is where we're having most of our problems, right?
You think that's
Then
what makes the biggest difference?
Absolutely, 100%. One of the biggest. Like,
Yep.
you know, if you look at what's being bought and paid for, just and then I think we need to go back to we the people, not we the corporation. Like, they need to.
Right.
Our government should not be for profit, right? They should be
Right.
keeping the regulation and keeping the peace for it. So those are the two things that I would really chum on, and then trucking. You know, make some that's when it's regulated. You have people that's in the regulation process know what they're doing. You know,
Yeah.
they should have experience, right? They
Certainly.
should know the in and out of the trucking, and you know, now they're pushing the regulations. Instead, we're having college kids do it, and people that's
Right.
never even drove a truck ever in their life,
Exactly.
you know, making the rules for us. So those are the three things I would say if I had to sit and talk.
Okay. So let me ask you before we begin winding down, because I'm not doing that right now. I don't want to give people the wrong impression. But when it comes to legislation, 8870, and everything being considered within that block in the 250 bill, what bothers you the most, Sean?
So what bothers me the most is they're saying that they're going to take the state power away from the states and take it into the federal world, and say that we're going to only governor the autonomous, right? But the rest of the truck drivers in this industry are still going to have to follow state rules. That's the biggest key point of this is they're asking for a power. Do we start calling them a king and a queens, or do we start calling them a Republican? You know, let's go there. That's all.
That's
I
a
went
whole
there. You
different
know,
rabbit hole, dude. Come on now. But I like your thinking, though. I mean, because it almost goes back to, the whole question we were entertaining during one show about who should control the issuance of licenses. We had a very passionate show one time where I started off with it should be federally controlled. No question, full stop. We shouldn't be giving states. That's what I said back then. I mean, I've since kind of looked into things and understand a little bit more. But, what I was saying back then was we should have one authority, right? And a number of people come up and contested me on it because, I mean, not every state has the ability to put someone in the seat. Not everybody has access to be able to teach federal laws and rules the same way. So it's a nuanced conversation. But the reason I bring it up is because, I mean, that's right inside that legislation, 8870. So, I
Sure
mean,
is.
in thinking about it and talking about it, Do you think a federal lockdown on these decisions and directions? Do you think that's the answer?
Well, I think the answer is do we keep it the way the government was designed, or do we restructure the government?
I
I'm giving you a roundabout answer. I'm giving you a roundabout answer because I mean, my opinion. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it should be restructured for it all be underneath one organization, right? But however, it can be bought and paid for, right? So if you can keep it divided apart to where there could be no corruption in it, that's the better off we are. You know, and that's
have we heard the one road, one code expression before?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean you're the one that says we the corporation. And honestly, it shouldn't be. It should be we the people. And we should be counting on the opposite representation than what is currently in place. So that's my feeling. And I don't know that there's really any true answer. I really don't. But I tell you honestly, if I look back on this industry 5 years from now, I'm actually sitting here now nervous about what I'm going to figure out.
Absolutely.
Because I mean, the representation that's sitting there right now, I don't feel warm and fuzzy has my back. No. So
no, it doesn't.
Yeah, we're actually, to tell you the truth, I'm actually ashamed to be part of this industry right now.
I'm interested in why.
Well, just for how unorganized it is, how many different laws there is. You know, I've said it once before. You can't fix something or hold on, rephrase that.
You can't fix something you don't know is broken.
Exactly, and you can't add new laws until you fix the problem.
You can't add new laws until you put into effect the current and correct enforcement of the current ones.
Thank you.
Or the old Band-Aid effect, right? You're just sticking a Band-Aid on it. You're just sticking a Band-Aid on it. And that's what we're seeing right now, right?
The Band-Aid eventually comes off and a hemorrhage forms.
Absolutely. And we could really start fixing it in the, like Thumper's saying, we can fix it down in the training level, and then you bring it up slowly and gradually up to the people that are already into the industry. Instead, they're just saying, hey, here's another rule, here's another law. Matter of fact, you know what? That's not working. We're going to put self-driving trucks out here and nobody has to worry about it, right? You know, that's not it's another Band-Aid, you know, because what is the effects it going to do to us, even if we're at home and and your house is on fire? And are they going to stop and block the streets? You know, are they going to, the 200 and so, how are we going to do theft, right? That's going to be coming through here, you know, at least there's a driver to report stuff, you know?
Yeah. I mean, there was a report and my wife and I were talking about this a little while back. In our local area, we've got somebody that's just, he's engaging in a very unhealthy habit. And let's just say, I'm not going to give details. He's breaking into people's houses, whether they're home or not, and he's tearing the place up. And the police are really going nuts trying to figure out who he is, what he wants, what he's doing, what's motivating him. And of course, you know, where his next target is, but they're just as stupid as ever. They don't know. They're clueless.
Yeah, and we got flock cameras around. And we got flock cameras saying that we're saving us.
You know, in Minnesota, they're getting cut down.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I need to go to Minnesota, I guess, over there. You know what I mean? At least they got something they stand behind. At least Minnesota has something right now that they're standing behind, saying that we're not allowing the government to watch us and spy on us. I mean, it's great.
Well, and I think it's hilarious. They can't figure out who did it. But that's what these cameras are there to do.
They're supposed to be recording it, but they're not.
What are they watching? That's the question. What are they watching? Because they only tell us certain things in trucking, and they're doing something totally different. You know, like we're running our logbooks or we're swiping our fuel card at the love station to get fuel to get rewards, and they're selling the data off of it, right? You know, what are those cameras doing? We didn't sign a contract to say that we're allowing it. Our people that's supposed to represent us feels that it's in our best interest, and that's where it's wrong.
Yep. So one of the things I'm looking, you know, because I pulled up 88, and if my image is frozen, I'm sorry. You know, I'm more of an audio guy anyway. One of the things I pulled up earlier before the show started was some of the information included in 8870. And what we just got done talking about, I'm interested in making it known and seeing what you guys think. It's labeled entitled Autonomous Trucking. And that it says this is the first major federal bill to establish a nationwide framework for autonomous driverless motor vehicles. It directs the FMCSA to develop performance-based safety standards, requires manufacturers to develop cases establishing requirements for reporting, and a process for rewriting any existing regulations to accommodate trucking, autonomous. We all know what that means. So think about that. What they're making known here is what they want. They're announcing it. We can see it right there in fine print. And yet, you talk to just as many people that are okay with it. It's just like in the comments not long back. Propaganda goes a long way. It does a lot for the human psyche. It really does.
Yeah, and there's a lot of states that already have laws on autonomous, right?
Yeah.
That they wrote, back in 2017 and locked them into place. So that tells you that the people in those states said, hey, you know what? We want to control what's coming into our state. But now they're asking to bypass everything that people worked in those states and say, hey, maybe they're unsafe in our state and we don't want them here. But now they're going to say we're going to give the secretary the control and the power of which ones to pass. Yeah. And that's where I was saying, are we giving him way more power than what the president has? Are we giving him more power than what we have as a human? Because we have that power and we can't even get that out of there to say I'm going to bypass all the laws, right? So we're giving one person to decide what they want, and that's what we got to stick with.
Yep. Well, guys, I'm going to tell you what I hope you got out of tonight's show is simply this. The Beautiful Ones experiment, it is closer to reality than anyone will let you think. There are more people talking about it. Universe 25, The Beautiful Ones. Don't think for a second that there aren't people in Illuminati studies somewhere on this planet that haven't already given that some thought. I don't think they've considered the options or the alternatives, but it's clearly in higher demand for discussion. So I ask you, when it comes to working for a cause such as fairness and equity in trucking, what happens when no one shows up? What happens when truck drivers choose not to engage because it just doesn't benefit them? Well, Universe 25 shows you exactly what that is. On my thumbnail, I think perfectly explains it. 5 people in the middle of an arena, not a soul around, and yet the freedom and future of trucking is at stake. So I implore you, if you watch this video, if you at all care about the future of trucking, please, you don't have to invest money. You don't even have to use every bit of resources or huge chunks of time. All you have to do is one thing, and that's ask a question. If you're feeling froggy, you can answer one too. What happens when no one shows up? Because, my friends, there are currently 3.5 to 4 million people. Maybe more if you want to talk about ancillary services and ancillary things not directly related with trucking that would be impacted if every single desire of the U.S. government is realized. If Aurora is given no restrictions, if Waymo isn't brought in and reined in, if technology is not responsibly used, my friends, Universe 25 is closer than you think. Closing words, my friends. I've gone on my soapbox as long as I dare possibly. Grumpy, what do you think? Universe 25, is it closer to a reality, or what do you think?
It's starting to look that way.
Isn't it?
just like my picture right there shows.
Okay, let me pull you. Because you're narrow, but put you full screen. Let's see what that is. There's. Read that to me
Says
because it's
it
scrunched.
says they're everywhere, like the Dollar General stores.
Okay, yeah. Well, that makes sense. Yeah. Talking about the Waymo cars.
They're talking about the flock and Waymo, everything. I mean,
Oh,
you just,
flock cameras. Oh, I see. I
yeah,
see.
I'm
Yeah.
pointing at a
Yeah.
flock right now.
Yeah, I see that. I see that now. Yeah. Well, again, the image is narrow. It's scrunched, so it's kind of hard to see. That's the StreamYard problem. Anyway. Semi, what do you think?
I think we're already in Universe 25. You know, I mean, whenever I'm home, I'll sit there sometimes and I'll just ride the train and I'll just people watch. And it's gotten to the point where people are just they're drones, just going through day-to-day life like it's a process.
Yep.
And you know, I keep thinking about, you know, the history of America. Like we've been through stages like this before,
Yep.
and whenever we hit stages like this before, we've always ended up having a movement. For example, every time we've had civil rights movements. So the real question is, when are we in this industry? When are we going to have our civil rights movement?
You really think it's going to come to that? Because I mean, there's conflicting opinions when it comes to that.
I think that, you know, it's probably going to have to come to that if we want to see change.
Yep. Yep. All right. Well, we shall see, and we will be here week after week covering it and talking about this and more. Believe it or not, if you believe that or think that thoughtful conversations like this really hit home and interest you, I ask you, I implore you, go down below, do one of two things. One's free, one's not. One's free. The one's free to subscribe. Real simple. And like the show. Yeah. If you really want to support Trucking City and you want to actively see me do this and talk more about stuff, join membership. TIB stands for Truth in Broadcasting. We want to have your opinions too, and we want to help make trucking great again. So I want to thank you and everyone that's on the panel tonight and everyone watching for actively engaging. Because after all, what happens when nobody shows up, in my opinion, is something we can't afford to see. So, isn't that right, Sean? Do you think? Any closing thoughts?
Yeah, no, I mean, you know, and this is what it kind of points to, right? If we look at who's going to show up, you know, if trucks are blocking, who's going to show up when they need their emergency, right? You look at if they bypass the state laws and go federal law and they take us out, who's going to show up to bring your kids the medication that they need? Who's going to bring the food and everything up? Who's going to show up? So it's real simple. Get involved. It only takes 2 minutes to actually send out an email to your congressman and let them know. You know, you're volunteering your time already, giving it to a greedy corporation while you're sitting at the dock, while you're waiting to get that load loaded. You know, if you're there early, you're donating that time. So, as I say, a professional driver, you know, we signed that license that this is our industry. Let's put the power back where it belongs. Let's put that power back in the driver's seat, and you know, open up a door for a truck driver. Say thanks.
You'd be surprised at what that does.
Yep. If you you know, you can save somebody's life by saying hello. So make sure you open up the doors and say hi to a truck driver.
Save the kindness and make
That's
every
right.
effort to thank a trucker. You'll wake somebody up and you'll make a hell of a day, and a big difference instantly by thanking a trucker. Thumper, bring us home, buddy.
Trying to get my camera to stay in place. Sorry about
I could tell.
No, I mean, Sean hit it right on the nose there. Help another one out, and yeah, I mean, your voice does matter, and the Boss Man brings a great show to voice your opinion and everything else.
Yep.
Kind of on that note, we stick together, we can get something done. So,
Yep.
Like we always
That's the
say,
plan.
Bo and I always say, granted, Bo's not with me tonight, he's in the house.
Yep.
God bless everybody, America, 250 years, keep going for another 250. EMTs, firefighters, military personnel, truck drivers. Thank those guys. We don't get enough appreciation that everybody does.
Amen.
And not only that, we don't do it just for us and our families. We do it for you guys.
Amen to that. Well said, my friend. I appreciate that. Bringing us home again. Let me tell you something. When it comes to bringing home, one thing, I importantly want you to remember this. Comments, involvement, and interaction is the way we get things done. So if you have time and you have passion about trucking the same way, remember, it only takes 30 seconds to change a mind, but it takes one word to actually change a life. You too can help make trucking great again. So until next time, my friends, keep thinking about what you can do to help make trucking great again. Keep the faith, and remember, definitely keep her rolling.